Welcome everyone to episode 15 of the Looks Like a Movie podcast. My name is Kevin. I'm here with Owen and our first ever podcast guest, friend of the pod, Tyler Whitmore, also co-host of the Real Talk podcast. Today we're going to be talking about two new movies, Air and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. As usual, share the episode, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, you can follow our Twitter at the link in the description, and we'll also link all of Tyler's stuff in the description. And we can get started with the movies. But first, welcome to the podcast, Tyler. You're our first guest.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a non-movie related question first.
Let's start right off.
Because I saw yesterday that you tweeted about the Taylor Swift breakup. I had to ask if you're a Taylor Swift fan, and if you are, what your favorite Taylor Swift songs are if you listen to her.
I'm definitely a Taylor Swift fan. I wouldn't say I'm a Swiftie though. That's like a different breed of fan.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
say
what
I'm a
I
big
am.
fan. I think like folklore, like her newer stuff's probably my favorite, like folklore, but stuff like, Love Story, like all the old OG songs are just such good memories of like being young and having no responsibilities in the world. So those are always good times. But yeah, I live here in Phoenix. So we had the first concert of the Eras tour was here, and it was like they changed the name of the city to Swift City for 2 days, and there's people from all over the world like clogging up our city because like so many people wanted to be at the first show of the tour. So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, I like Taylor Swift, but I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore Swiftie. I'm not paying $1,000 to go to a concert, that's for sure.
Damn, yeah, Taylor Swift's my favorite artist, so I need to ask that. As soon as I saw you tweet about it, I was like, that is the first thing I need to know.
Nice.
But yeah, we'll get started with Air, I guess, because that's the, like we said, that's the one we all seem to like more. As usual, spoiler warnings for Air. Not really super spoilerable.
I mean, it's hard to spoil a movie about Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
spoiler alert: he signs with Nike.
Yeah.
I
don't. It's I mean,
but yeah, you guys want
buy the book.
You guys want to start with ratings? I think I lowered my rating just yesterday. I thought about it a little bit, so I think I have the lowest rating here now, but it's still quite positive. I have it at a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, yeah, I have it at 4 stars. This is my third ranked movie of the year so far. So like, I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm at a 4.5 out of 5. So Owen giving it a 4-star would be like me giving it like a 6.5 star. So I give it a 4.5 star. I really loved it.
Yeah, and this is your number one in the year so far, right?
It is out of 63 or something like that. But that's more speaking to the fact that I just haven't really loved the 2023 release yet enough to be like a number one. It's not really like I did really love Air, but I just don't think 2023 has been the greatest for like heavy hitters yet.
Yeah. Do you have other 4.5s, or is that the sole 4.5?
I have other 4.5s because the one that was number one before that was Fair Play, but that's a Sundance release that I believe Netflix bought, so it's going to come out on Netflix at some point this year. But Rye Lane was also that's a 4. So yeah, I think I only have 2 4.5 stars. So
gotcha.
Yeah, been slow start to the year, I think.
Interesting, because I've been on the other end of it where like I've liked the start to the year so far. I mean, I have I have 3 4.5 stars already, and I have a couple 4 stars, and I had Air at a 4-star, but then I looked at my 4 stars and I was like, this just doesn't really stack up with the other ones for me. So I had to reconsider. But yeah, I really liked Air, and I'm a big basketball fan. I know Owen is a pretty big basketball fan as well. Do you watch basketball, Tyler? Or you
I'm a casual fan. Like I know enough to catch pretty much every reference that was made. Like I thought the Charles Barkley joke was hilarious.
Yeah.
This guy's a hothead. No one would want to watch him on TV.
Yeah. That was also
all the references, but I'm not a huge I don't watch every game, but I would watch the playoffs. But my team's the Mavericks, so they freaking choked this year.
That's rough. No, I remember when we got out of the movie, me and Owen both said to each other like right away that the Charles Barkley joke was our favorite. So it's good you bring that up, because I thought that part was so fucking funny. And in general, like the comedy in general, I think is like probably what boosted this movie for me most likely, because I think before the movie came out, I was a bit skeptical about the fact that like it didn't seem like a movie's length worthy story to me, like just like a shoe signing deal. I was like, this isn't really like worthy of a movie. But then when I saw it like actually play out. I was like, this is just good because it's really fucking funny. like it's just an ultimate dad movie, obviously.
There's a lot of testament to Ben Affleck. I think his directing is really strong in this movie, and I think the whole cast is really funny. Like this whole cast, there's not really a member that really sticks out as being a bad member of the cast. I think everyone kind of adds something differently. Obviously, you have Viola Davis, who is just Viola Davis. But I think Matt Damon's really great. I think Jason Bateman in Limited Time is like adds some like heartwarming elements. I think Chris Tucker, who in like interviews they said like he wrote a lot of his stuff, was really funny. Like it's just Chris Tucker, so it's gonna be funny. And then Ben Affleck just kind of randomly just keeps showing up and has these little moments. I just say everyone's really great. I think
I thought
you're forgetting Chris Messina though.
I was gonna say I thought Chris Messina was the standout.
I know Kevin liked him a lot, so I'll let Kevin kind of talk more on that.
I ended up I ended up checking out some of the stuff that he's in after I saw him in this movie, because I was like, this guy's so fun. I need to watch more of his movies. So I ended up watching like 2 romances that he's in, and I think I just like this guy a lot. He's also in Sharp Objects, like the limited series, which I have not finished yet, but I read the book and I really like that. So we should put Chris Messina on more stuff, I think, is what I got out of there more than anything. Because that dude is really good. Like him and Viola Davis, like you said, were the 2 like big ones for me, I would say, at least.
Yeah.
I think like the big thing is the cast. Like the thing I said in my review is, I'd say last year in terms of whether you like the movies or not, in terms of great ensemble cast, I'd say Banshees of Inisherin and Everything Everywhere All at Once had just incredible ensemble performances. Yeah, this is like the most chemistry I've seen from a cast in so long, and it makes sense because Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have been homies for 30 years. But I've been rewatching all of Ben Affleck's filmography lately, like his directed work, and Chris Messina is like in almost every one. Or at least he's in Live by Night yesterday. I thought he was in Argo and a minor role. I think he's like just as big of boys with Ben Affleck as Matt Damon is. So they just all seem to play off each other so well. Chemistry just came off the screen. I think that's really what put it over the edge for me.
Yeah, it's a great ensemble, but it's not an ensemble of like all these A-listers. It's just really a kind of a group of people that really work together, which is often more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think there's like a level. I mean, I was just mentioning this because it's because I had family over this morning for Easter, and I was mentioning to my sister how like I really like that there's just like a level of care because they have made this studio together now, and they actually care about giving profit shares to people on the crew and stuff like that. And I think that kind of thing is something that could really like that kind of thing behind the scenes is something that could really benefit a movie, because it's like, people on the crew want to like be appreciated for their work. Obviously, like everybody is putting, and there's stuff in here that really matters that would go overlooked. Like some of the costuming in this movie, just for the fact that it's like this like 80s kind of like throwback vibe, is like very essential to the storytelling, I think. And I think it's cool that they care so much to involve their crew members in the process.
Yeah, no, there's definitely like the 80s vibe is definitely straight away. You have these like this little like montage kind of, Babylon ending kind of thing going on, or just sets. Oh God, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm good. The dogs, and that was hell. All right, what are we talking about?
You were freaking out. You're having a problem. Yeah.
All right. Oh, the 80s tone. I think the 80s tone is really set like right away with this whole Babylon opening. With just it's showing Michael Jordan, it's showing just everything that happened in that time, and then you just have it kind of continues throughout the movie with what everybody's wearing, what they're talking about. There's just references to all these 80s things, as well as just basketball at a whole at like that time.
Yeah,
I think they do a really great job of setting you in that time. And it's kind of interesting to have a kind of a historical piece, but it's not that long ago. Like it's like this Michael Jordan is still alive, which goes a lot to like how the movie's framed, and especially with like Michael Jordan's character, which I know some people had issues with. Some people, I don't know, it's definitely a big topic about the movie because it's about Michael Jordan, but not necessarily about Michael Jordan. It's more about like behind the scenes stuff. But he is in the movie, but you don't see his face. You only see his face in like footage of games and stuff like that. But I actually think There's a lot of great like Ben Affleck interviews for this movie where he's really passionate, and he kind of talks about how um, Michael Jordan's face, or Michael Jordan was never going to be an actor. That was never like going to happen. There's no stage
Yeah.
of the movie that was like an idea, because it's kind of like there's very much this like attitude towards the movie that Michael Jordan is kind of God.
Yeah.
And it is kind of the whole not showing an actor's face or not having anyone play Michael Jordan kind of continues that whole element of the film. Because if Ben Affleck talks about how, you know, the moment we show some random actor, the audience says that's not right, that's not real Michael Jordan, that's a phony Michael Jordan, and the whole movie like gets ruined from there. So I do think it's kind of a tough, like we talked about this, Kevin. It's a double-edged sword, because you want to see the actor, you want to see it,
Yeah.
and you know you do know it's not Michael Jordan, because you know they're not showing him, and you know why they're not showing him. But I do think the framing and the fact that he's still in the movie, quote unquote, like you don't see his face, but he's still in the movie, and it's just kind of framing techniques that keep you from not seeing his face, I think is the best way to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd agree for the most part, because it's like this weird like line that you have to toe where, like you said, it's like because I said this to you even like right after we watched it. I was like, it's one of those things where it's like I'm disappointed because I obviously I would like it if they showed his face, but it's at the same time it's like you have to be conscious of that while you're watching it, and it's like you know they can't do it, so what's the best way to go about it? And they do kind of like navigate that as best as you can, which I think is like one of the big like commendable things about the movie, is just like you see that and you're like, okay, they framed this as best as they could. Like they really like do a good job using like what they have to include him in the story some way. But at the same time, I think it's I think one of the like interesting, I guess, like negative things I saw surrounding it is just like this idea that, and I don't know that, I'm sure there's probably other movies that have done this recently, but it's just like I think it's very interesting to make this movie that's like this kind of like shrine to Michael Jordan, but it's not a Michael Jordan movie. You know what I mean? It's like, what if we make a movie about Michael Jordan, but instead it's about like a shoe deal and like all these business people, which is, you know, obviously for some people that really works, but
I think it kind of it's interesting because it is like a lot of the movie is like, look at how Michael Jordan is like the coolest in the like, look at how cool Michael Jordan is. But I think it kind of shows how cool he is by being like, we can make a movie about this like one kind of little moment in time, and it still shows like how awesome. It's like you could make a whole Michael Jordan movie, like this big epic Michael Jordan movie, but we can kind of take this one moment and just like that's how all we need to show, which I think it also works. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I do think it's kind of interesting to do such a small scale kind of thing, but still have this like he's God basically kind of premise. It's very fascinating.
I think it was only awkward in a few moments. Like I think it was, I can't remember which company, maybe it was Adidas, when he's going into, and like all the people met him outside and they shake the hands of the mom and dad and they just keep walking in. And I'm like, I get it. They try to set up like, oh, the mom is like the one who's going to be controlling this deal. But I mean, if you're going to Adidas and they're trying to sign you, like they're going to go up to Michael Jordan, tap him up too, and be like, "Thanks for coming out," rather than just like talk to his parents, and say like, "Screw this guy, we're just gonna walk in."
Yeah. It was like he was like really shy. It was like this, like I don't know, it was odd.
Yeah, it's.
I think like for me, like the directing work, I think is Ben Affleck's biggest. Like he took more chances than anything else, and I think most of the movies he's made before are usually mafia movies or something that has. It's very easy to build a movie about and make it compelling without being too creative or crazy behind the lens. But this is a very quote unquote like boring movie that he made really compelling. And I think you mentioned the Babylon opening. I think the Babylon, I drew more parallels to Babylon when they were doing the speech in the boardroom, and then they showed like Michael Jordan's entire life from there. And I was like, that's a creative risk to do. And like, I love that scene so much. And then same with like all biography movies in general, they retell the story, and then at the end you have like a PowerPoint presentation of this is what happened next. But like halfway through the movie, he had one of those title cards about like the value of how many shoes were sold or something. And I feel like the way he told this biography was a lot different than a lot of people make biography movies. And I feel like he took a lot of creative risks here, especially like you were saying just now with the not showing Michael Jordan much, that I think they all paid off for me at least. So it was nice to see Ben Affleck take some chances as director as opposed to just making a cookie cutter movie.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things you mentioned is that like because I kind of after like immediately after I saw the movie, especially because there weren't like that many reactions yet, since it was like they did that whole, you know, like a million early screenings. Like there weren't too many reactions yet, and I was under the impression that a lot of people would like watch the movie, and if they weren't really interested in Michael Jordan or like basketball or whatever, like it was just going to be a very boring movie to them. But a lot of people I know personally who have zero basketball knowledge and know like literally nothing about this world were like very much entertained by the movie. So that was like something that really surprised me, because I knew like I couldn't really separate my personal bias. Like I knew I was going to be entertained, because I was like, of course, like this is, you know, like basketball's all I do. Of course I'm going to like this. But to see all these people kind of watch the movie and be like, oh yeah, this is actually really entertaining is pretty surprising.
Well, I even in my I had a review and I was like, I don't know if I can recommend this to everyone. I really can't, because I love basketball, and there's so much of this that's reference based humor, and there's just so much of this that just like, we love basketball, we love Michael Jordan. But I have noticed again, like ton of people being like, I love this, and I've never watched a basketball game, or I really don't care for Michael Jordan at all, which again really kind of talks to how great the script is and the directing is, because you can get people who don't watch basketball, don't care about Michael Jordan, for a movie that's so like self-celebratory of basketball and Michael Jordan is really impressive.
Yeah. And also like the biopic thing. No, like the biopic thing, like you mentioned about like, I just think, I think the other perspective is that like, we don't really need a Michael Jordan biopic. You know what I mean? Because like you said, there's like this great like wealth of them. And it's like, we already have like The Last Dance, which is, in my opinion, like as good of a documentary series as you can make about Michael Jordan. So it's like, people don't really like need a movie version of this person who is so famous that everybody already knows who he is, kind of thing. Like I think at that point you'd rather watch it in documentary form, like if you really care that much to learn about him. So I think that's my big like takedown of the like.
Yeah, this is probably more fun than a Michael Jordan biopic. I don't know. I feel like,
because then we'd have to watch them do like fake basketball, and like who wants to do that?
That's never good.
A bunch of bad
you would have to have someone that's not. You would have to show the face in the Michael Jordan biopic. Like you can't do a whole movie about Michael Jordan and not show his face, and then you're automatically gonna be like, that's not Michael Jordan. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is a fun way to do a Michael Jordan movie without kind of doing a Michael Jordan movie. It's fun.
Yeah, there's so much dad humor in here that I don't know if it's just going closer to dad age, but like I ate it up. Like the running scene at the end, I thought was hilarious with Matt Damon. Like that's such a dad joke that like probably me of like college age or like high school age would be like, oh, whatever, corny joke. But like me, I was like eating that up. I was like, that's hilarious. So good.
My theater was laughing really hard. Like it was like there was like the early screening or whatever. They were, I don't know who was the audience for that, but they were eating it up. I thought it's one of the funnier movies of the year for sure.
I mean, I said to you, and I was like, there's that one guy. There's just like one dad in the front row of my theater. I've never seen somebody laugh like that in my life, dude. I mean, he was having he had to be staying for the credits and laughing at those. He was literally like having the time of his life. And I imagine that he's like representative of most of the dads across America watching this movie. Like, it's just, I haven't seen a dad movie like that in a while.
Dad movie of the century. It's like, it's kind of unmatched.
Yeah, that's the real big takeaway. Is there like, you know, because obviously we're starting with the good, but is there anything you guys didn't like about the movie?
I would say I do think it cut off like 10 minutes. I do think it kind of at the end, it's like it kind of doesn't know where to end. I think there's certain places where you could just cut to black, and it would have worked. It's not necessarily like the biggest negative. I still really like it, because the first however many minutes are so great. But it just gets to the point where it just kind of repeating, like it's just throwing scenes out there. I think that the tech stuff at the end, like the classic like biopic like ending is fun. Like I like that early 2000s cheesy like ending. I just do think it does take like a long time to end, but that's probably like the biggest issue overall. I think the pacing is fine until like that last chunk.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that part, because that's like that's definitely what I felt the most was like. I remember saying this to you after the movie. I was like, there's like 7 or 8 scenes at the end where I thought it was the last scene, and it just kept going because they had like this, like you say, like that like PowerPoint format that they always
It
do.
almost
They
feels like
really like spread out each piece of information. Like they gave like each piece like its own like scene, and not just like it wasn't just text. It was like a scene to go with every single piece of text. And I was like, okay, like this movie could be over now, I think.
When they have the credits sometimes, and there's like it's like kind of splits, and you have the credits on one hand, and there's like little extra footage. It felt like you were watching the extra footage, but there was like the credits weren't there yet. We were just watching it.
No, it's actually such a good point.
It's not like the greatest like closing. It doesn't know where to wrap up, but I wouldn't like harm. It doesn't harm the movie so bad like that. I think the rest of the movie's great. So
yeah, no, I agree.
I don't think there's anything negative I really have to say about it. I think it does require basketball knowledge to buy in. Like I think to truly really like this movie, you need basketball knowledge, but I think the rest of it's so inoffensively made that I would just be shocked if anyone watches this and like rates it lower than like a 2.5. Like I just really don't see how anyone could come away with that, but it's just such an inoffensive movie.
Yeah, it is kind of like it's just a dad movie. Like I don't know. I definitely could see people being like, boo basketball, this is boring. But I it's one of those films. It's like it's just a nice little like you put it on Sunday afternoon kind of thing. Like it's kind of the best version of that kind of movie.
I saw people that were criticizing it, saying that the performances all felt very reserved, but I think that's just because all the performance, like they all work for Nike and they're all trying to sign them. So at the end of the day, like they're coworkers. Like Phil Knight is employing these people and they're like friends. So they're not going to be like the Social Network, like you screwed me over, I'm going to slam a laptop in your face. I don't get what people are really looking for when they're saying they were all pretty reserved. I was like, they're like coworkers. They're not going to be punching each other in the face over this shit deal.
And the thing is like Chris Mazin is not very reserved at all. You know, like
he
it's like
the one reserved element.
Yeah, like the one place where they clash is between him, like the agent and the company, and it's like it's a pretty drastic clash that they have. Like it's like very I don't know.
That is a silly kind of.
I mean, I would say if anything, it's like I mean, I know Doug's not here, but Doug's not a fan of like the fact that it's like a Nike commercial kind of thing, which is like I'm a bit. It goes back to what I was saying about how it's it's a Nike movie rather than being a Michael Jordan movie, which is like a very interesting like choice to make because it's like I don't know, but it's also it's so very appreciative of Michael Jordan that it doesn't really bother me as much as I think it would in a different movie, perhaps, because like you said, like in Ben Affleck's interviews and stuff, it's like it's very clear that this is the guy who cares about Michael Jordan and is not just a guy who's making a movie about Michael Jordan. Like he consulted him, he consulted the family, and like he actually like it's a story that he really wanted to tell. So I don't know.
It is an interesting critique, and I wish Doug was here to talk about it. But it didn't bother me at any point. Like it never really occurred to me. Mainly because there felt like so much. I've seen Ben Affleck in these interviews, and it's just so much passion for the story being held that it never felt like this kind of crash grab or we're gonna use Michael Jordan, or it never felt like a kind of sick movie to me. It always felt like we love basketball so much and we want to tell this story. So even if it has that little bit of like Nike's the best, Nike, I still think I'm able to kind of look past that and really enjoy like the core heart that this film kind of has in it.
I think I might have had an issue with it if like the company that signed Michael Jordan was like Asics or something. Nowadays it's like such a low tier shoe company, but it's Nike. Like it's the same thing Michael Jordan. Like Nike doesn't need promotion. They're the kings of every sport virtually right now. So this movie's not going to drive Nike's shareholder price through the roof. Whereas like if this was some no name company now that just fell off somehow, then maybe be like, oh, they're just trying to revive their brand image or something. But Nike doesn't need any advertising.
And it's not I don't think the movie is making that much money. Like it's not a real difference maker in that.
It might have legs though. Like I think this might be like a Man Called Otto type movie where it just doesn't come out with huge splash, but then I'll see a discussing film tweet in like a month that's like it just crossed 100 million. I'm like, wait, what? People are seeing that? Like I think it's gonna have some legs at the box office.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a big like streamer. I think once it gets put if it gets put on a streaming service like soon.
Well, it's Amazon, right? Amazon produced it, so wouldn't it go to Prime?
Yeah. If it was like, if it comes out on streaming like relatively soon and there's still like some traction behind it, I imagine everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, let's watch this
movie
tonight.
legs are weird now. It's like movies will come out and then like a month later they're on streaming. So like it's like very weird because you'll have Avatar: The Way of Water, which is like still in theaters, and then the Mario movie is in like a month is already out. Which is gonna make like $1 billion, but it's only gonna be in theaters for like a month. So you never really know with these movies. I wouldn't expect Air to be in theaters for too long.
I think there's also like that interesting route that a lot of, or not a lot, but it seems like movies might be taking this route where they release them simultaneously. And because I know Netflix has kind of done that in the past, like tested that kind of model a bit where they'll like release a movie.
HBO did the same, and then they like
on Netflix.
Totally. Yeah, everyone kind of did that like a year or two ago.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there's movies in the future that just like it's like, okay, this is the day it releases. Like we're putting it in theaters on this day, we're putting it in streaming on this day. You could like
definitely like just like random ass movies. I would just like they do that. But it would be definitely interesting to see like a really big movie. Because I remember like they did that with like Black Widow or something, and it was like a big fuss.
I'd prefer if they did it with like mid-budget movies, though. I don't want to see like a blockbuster movie get put on streaming.
No.
Theaters like that's kind of disrespectful.
Dune did that, right? I think Dune did that.
Yeah, they did, but I think that's more a result of the pandemic. I don't think they would ever do it again with another Dune.
That's what I'm saying. I think it did happen during the pandemic, and like with a lot of these movies I'm talking about happened during that time. But I don't think that would be for especially like a movie like Dune.
I think like in post-pandemic life, we're gonna see the theaters really start to get revived.
I remember
took a
going to see Dune in the theater and then going to watch it like at home like right after.
No, I did the same thing. I saw it in the theaters and then watched it the next day at home, I think.
I will say Michael Jordan is kind of crushing LeBron in movies.
Absolutely.
I think it's like not even close. Like,
did you guys see House Party this year?
I don't. God,
no. So bad.
Is LeBron in it? I didn't even know LeBron was
it's like about LeBron. Like it's they like throw a party in LeBron's house, and literally, I kid you not, the final scene, like he's like, I'm gonna call the cops, and he says, play me in one-on-one, and if I beat you, like you don't want to call the cops. And then it's literally a 10-minute montage of LeBron beating him like 21-0 one-on-one. Like, did LeBron's ego just need a movie where you just could beat up on some people playing basketball?
That's you have that. The new Space Jam, I haven't seen. Everyone says it's horrible.
It's not good.
I think Michael
he's in that one. He's in that one. Like, what is it? Trainwreck as well, or something? I don't know, some comedy. He just doesn't. But to be fair, it's like the guy can't act. Like, it's not like he's gonna pick good movies to be in.
It is funny though.
I'm gonna defend LeBron with my life always, but I'd prefer if maybe he doesn't do too much. I'm cool with him producing stuff if he wants to like make basketball movies that are actually good, because I think he was involved in Hustle, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he like had to have there had to be something there, because he has that one production company with his agent, I want to say, or something. I don't know exactly who it is, but I think they were involved in Hustle. And it's like, if you have the power that LeBron has and you want to make basketball movies that are actually good, then that's fine, but maybe don't put yourself in them. And then we'll be okay.
Yeah, dude, we'll have the LeBron shoe movie in like 20 years.
Yeah, probably. I do think that the LeBron version of The Last Dance would go incredibly hard. I think when we get a LeBron like docu-series,
for sure,
it'll be maybe my favorite thing ever. Just like, because I love The Last Dance, but I love LeBron significantly more than I like Michael Jordan. So I'd be so in for that. But anything else you guys want to say about Air before we switch gears to Super Mario Bros?
Let's put Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, like give them as many little duo movies ever. Like I want to see them make little movies. I think they're so fun together, and I think there's just such a clear passion from the two of them to tell like genuine stories. I think that's something we need in modern movies.
Yeah, I could get on board with that. Okay, let's switch over to Super Mario Bros, which is not in any way related to
Yeah,
Air.
well, Air, like the dad movie of the century, Mario, possibly the baby movie of the century.
The kid movie of the century. I mean, the kids in my theater were having a
they're having a
blast,
blast.
dude.
They're loving it.
I went at like prime, like the showtime I went to was like right after school gets out, and it was just like, I mean, my theater, I might have been the only like adult in there that wasn't accompanying a child.
Yeah.
But yeah, they seem to love it.
Oh yeah.
What did we? Let's start with ratings. I guess I know Owens is like very low.
Yeah.
Mine is a 3-star. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 1 star.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
I gave it a 3.
Yeah. I think this is.
And then Doug's Ghost gave it a 2 star. So,
yeah.
You have all the stars there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's like my big takeaway from this movie is that it's too safe for me to like dislike it enough to be like, this is a 1-star movie. I think it's so safe that there's nothing I really like hate about it. But it's also so safe that I just can't like completely get behind it either. Like I thought it was sweet and it was like a fun time. Obviously I could see kids loving it, but like, I don't know. I like this was like a perfectly okay movie to me. Like I actually had like a pretty good time, and it goes by so fast that I was just like, it's really like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I would watch.
That is the best thing I can say about it is that it goes by fast. I will say it does go by fast because there's no second act, so it does go by fast. There's just training and then the final fight, and that's the movie. It does go by fast.
Yeah.
And you didn't watch Minions Rise of Gru, right? I'm looking at Letterboxd right
now. No.
Because that's like the comparison. Yeah, because that came out a year ago. It's the same production company, Illumination, and critics gave that movie very high marks. And I just don't really get why Minions was the kid movie of last year. Now this is the kid movie this year, but all of a sudden critics are like hating this one. But I think this is like clearly a better movie to me than Minions Rise of Gru.
Yeah, no, I did not see. I'm not on the Minions train. Maybe the critics really got into the meme. They went to the theater in the suits. Illumination is got to be like the worst like animation studio that continues to make money. Like their whole. You look at the Illumination like thing on Letterboxd, and it's just like 9 Minions movies and like 3 other things. And it's just so funny.
I think I'd be totally okay with Illumination if you cut out all the Minion stuff. Because I haven't even watched like most of the other ones, but they at least seem like stuff that I could get behind. Like, I haven't seen that, but like I'm sure I would like it significantly more than any Minions movie.
I'd rather watch Despicable Me than The Secret Life of Pets.
Really?
I feel like that's not a hot take.
Oh, okay.
I think the original, like first Despicable Me, I think is like very fine.
No, I think the first of Despicable Me is the best Illumination movie, like by far.
Okay. I have seen the first one. I do remember liking that. Granted, I watched it when I was like 11 years old. But yeah, I don't know. Just the Minions property in general, and then like seeing their faces, it just annoys me every time.
The Minions, they're milking
and it works. I mean, the meme definitely helped them out a ton, I'd imagine.
Song for sure.
I thought it was going to be like a silly trend, but it ended up being like that trend ended up actually having some serious effects on like their path.
I'm obviously the Minion movie didn't make this much money, but I'm assuming it made a good amount of money.
It was just under $1 billion, I believe, like 900.
Oh yeah, okay,
okay.
Yeah, this movie is on track to be like the highest grossing
of the year
animated movie of all time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Passing Frozen, which is a big testament to how big the Mario brand is, especially worldwide, because I know it's making a ton of money over there. It does. There's a lot of it that it feels like just throwing names at a dartboard, like biggest names we can find, dartboard and Mario, and that's like all they really need to be a successful movie. I think like starting off with some like kind of good things that I like. I think the movie looks fine. Like I think animation wise, there's really not. I do think Brooklyn looks horrible. But I think once they get out of Brooklyn, it looks great.
It doesn't really look like Brooklyn to me at all.
It's just a random like
it's just a city. Yeah.
Which is funny because it's not like they had to shoot on location. Like it's an animated movie. It's like I don't know how you like mess up like what Brooklyn looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Brooklyn looks weird, but I think once they get into it's very much it's like Alice in Wonderland kind of plot where they go down the rabbit hole, and then they're
Yeah.
in Wonderland. And I think once they're in like the Mario universe, I think it looks fun. It's bright colors. It's a good color palette for like a little kid. And I have nothing really wrong to say with the animation. I think that's really where it ends for me. I think it comes off as very soulless. I think the directing of the voice acting is very odd. Like it very much comes from this thing of like not every great actor is a great voice actor.
Yeah.
It's like there's voice actors for a reason, and we've recently like past like 20 years or whatever, it's really become this thing of like just throwing names at boards and just getting like the posters that say like Chris Pratt and Will Smith and all
Yeah,
that
like
stuff.
20 names down
Yeah,
the
yeah.
line.
It's like,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because it's like these are obviously movies marketed towards children. So the
Yeah.
children don't care that Anya Taylor-Joy is in the movie. Like it's like
I was gonna ask that, like, why do they go for like name brand names for voice actors when I feel like that's never ever been a draw to a movie is who's voicing people,
especially because of how much they have to like pay extra for somebody who has that big of a name.
It feels like we have excess money. What do we do with it? Because because it's like this movie is targeted towards children. The people that are going to see this, most of the people are just gonna be Mario fans. If they're not like children, they're gonna be Mario fans. So it's like, are they really banking like how much money like is when you pay Chris Pratt so much money, is is that equal like the amount of Chris Pratt fans that are gonna only go to this movie because of Chris Pratt? Like it doesn't seem logical to it, besides just we have money, let's just throw it at these people.
I could see it being like a draw for older people who want to take their kids to the movie, you know what I mean? Where it's like if you are somebody with kids, it's like, oh well, I can take my kids to this movie because I'm interested in it now. But like, what's the number of people that actually, if that like that can't really make that much of a difference.
I would agree with something, but I don't think the actual content of the film reflects that, because I think the film is so catered to children in the way that everything is. Like there's no like the movie doesn't have like it's not like a Shrek kind of thing where they're cracking jokes that will fly over kids' heads and stuff. It's very like strictly a kids movie. So it's like there's not a lot for like adults to really grasp at. So again, like just having like Chris Pratt and Anya Taylor-Joy start the movie is just very odd. Because I think this movie could have been a lot better with some better writing and like actual voice actors. Which again just is a weird kind of, because I remember when Chris Pratt got casted, everyone lost their mind. I think he's fine in the movie. Actually, I don't think he's like the worst performance in the movie.
Yeah,
I'm just not really in love with anyone. And it is just kind of like I think Toad with what's his name? Michael Key. Yeah, I think he's the best performance of the movie because he's the only person that kind of loses himself in the role.
Yeah. He's like he's voice acted.
So I think he's good. I think Jack Black can voice act. I do think he's just being Jack Black in this movie, though.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to bring up next, because that's one of my positives. I think like Jack Black's my favorite in this movie, and I think a lot of that comes down to kind of what you're saying, where it's like from our perspective, since we're not, little children watching the movie, like obviously the movie's for little children, we have to get something out of it. For me, I'm like, I like Jack Black because like, yeah, maybe he's being Jack Black, but the kids aren't going to realize that, you know what I mean? Like the kids don't care, and the kids seem to love the parts that Jack Black is in. So
I've seen so many TikToks of that damn Peaches song. Like,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I love that.
They got a Cole Bennett video.
From my perspective, I'm like, Jack Black's funny. He like makes fun little music. They let him sing a fun little song in the movie. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I recognize it because I know Jack Black. So to me, that's fun, and it doesn't really distract because like, yeah, you always have to remind yourself like this is a kids movie. The kids aren't gonna recognize Jack Black, but I can. So like, I'll have fun with it while he's there. I do see what you mean, where it's he's not really playing Bowser in any way. Like there's no like recognizable characteristic about him that makes he could have been playing anybody and it wouldn't have made a difference. But yeah, I don't know. I like Jack Black because it's at least like something that I saw in the movie where I was like, this is fun for me and not just for the rest of the kids in the theater. So I was like, I could get with this.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about actors just playing themselves, like Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. That's just straight
Oh,
up
it's
Seth
so
Rogen.
bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. I
And
like Seth
even though
Rogen
I didn't
too.
think it was the greatest like performance by him because it is just playing himself. Something about his laugh, man. When they just zoom down his face and you get that laugh, every time it'll get me. I don't care what it is. Seth Rogen's
It's
laugh is
so
just
no,
such serotonin.
it is funny,
It's
but it's like this funny like in kind of laughing at the movie way where you have like Mario and he's like defeated and like it's just like close up on like Seth Rogen like evil laughing and it's just
yeah.
it's the stupidest thing. But
And it's so distracting. Like it's so like because you know what I like there's no adult on the planet who's gonna watch that movie and not recognize that it's Seth Rogen
yeah.
voice acting in it right away. And it's like it's impossible for that to not like be going on in your brain while you're watching the movie.
Yeah. And it's
Um
weird.
which yeah, I don't know. It definitely I do think, like you said, like in general for me, the voice acting does pull me out of the movie a decent amount.
Yeah.
That's
I
probably
hated
one
the
of my
soundtrack too. Like the Mario theme's
yeah.
awesome, but the random just like hit songs they
Yeah,
kept
like
playing,
the
that
I
took
Need
me
a
out of it a
Hero
lot.
stuff. Like
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So with that kind of stuff, it very much felt like a lot of the movie felt like, well, it's like people talk about how it's like kind of bland and unoriginal and kind of cookie cutter, but it very much felt even more than that, or it felt like derivative of like every animated movie, like popular animated movie for the last 20 years. Like it felt like it was trying to be Shrek or whatever. Like it just kind of was
yeah.
like, oh, Shrek has like pop songs. We're gonna have pop songs. Shrek does this, or this does this, or this does this. It very much felt like we're looking. It was a board meeting decision of like this has worked in this movie, this worked in this movie, and it kind of like it's like a Frankenstein of every animated movie of the past 20 years. I think the end of
Yeah.
the pop songs are weird because a lot of them feel like pop songs we've heard in other animated movies that like we're like it's like this movie. It's almost like we recognize that song and we put it to that animated movie. So to put it in another animated movie just feels misguided. It's like you couldn't have found a different song for the sequence to kind of have. If you're going to do pop songs, might as well do a song that has not been already attached to like a major animated movie, like especially with like I Need a Hero. Like it's like the Shrek 2 like finale is just so iconic.
Yeah.
To put it in your own movie, people are automatically going to associate that with Shrek. But I think the Mario theme itself, like there's so much Mario theme they could have worked with, that it just feels weird to just cut to like an AC/DC song or something like that.
Yeah, because I would have almost preferred if they really committed to like key like Mario things where it's like even some of the stuff that you mentioned makes it like so clearly a kids movie to me, I think is like almost a positive when it's executed the right way. Like you mentioned the animation, and it's like, yeah, a lot of like there's like a lot of sections in the movie that are just like video game levels. You know what I mean? Like you could
I
like
like
there's
that. I
and
do
I
like that.
like that, and I think that at the same time, it's like this is something that kids are going to eat up because kids are playing these games. You know what I mean? So it's like, of course, it's like appealing to them to watch this little like video game level style animation. And like, I wish they like fully committed to like that kind
Yeah.
of like Mario stuff more, and the music's definitely like a big kind of example of how they just avoid that. um yeah, I don't know. I think when you're comparing it to like other movies as well, this is maybe a stretch, and I don't even know if I should bring this movie up because I actually like this movie unlike most people, but it reminded me a lot of like Ready Player One.
No, really.
It feels very
It's a
like
fun movie.
it feels very Ready Player One-esque with like the music and like the way that it like
Yeah.
uses this world and like all of these like references and iconography and stuff.
Gotcha.
Well, like what's funny is so many critics like hated this movie because like, oh, it's just promoting a theme park and capitalism. But I was like, at first, I didn't even know there was a Nintendo World opening up in Florida until people complained that this movie is promoting it. Like they never had
Yeah,
at the
it's not
very
like
end of the movie,
in
they
the
were never like
trailer.
now open in Orlando. Like,
I
but
just
that's
learned
the
that
thing.
right
Like, if
There's
now.
like the
right,
post
yeah,
credit scene. Mario goes to Orlando. He like
right. Like
opens
that would
it.
be that would be bad. But the thing is, like, if they
Yeah.
wanted to make this movie the ultimate mind control capitalism by our product, then they wouldn't
Yeah.
have had the pop music. They would have just purely been like only Mario, Coconut
Yeah.
Mall, every song everyone knows, like everything in this movie is
Yeah.
just Mario IP. So
Yeah.
I think they really wanted to mind control their audience. They could have gone even further than what they did and
Yeah.
try to sell product. I don't know.
I think it goes back to what I was saying about how it's just like really safe. I think like I think their vision was like, we know that we have Mario as a character, like we have this world that exists, like all this stuff that we could connect to him. We don't have to make like a movie that gets super unique in any direction. Like we could make a very like by the numbers movie that we know is going to make $1 billion for us. And we're already a huge company. So like, what's there to lose?
I guess that's just really just it's like, it's not like I have any like strong hate towards the movie. It's just not really for me in any way. And a lot of it's just because it is just like, it is bland and uninspired. I do think it's, again, in desperate need of a second act. And I do think it is in need. I think that little, like we talked about earlier, the video game kind of stuff, where it would be like a more 2D angle, I think is fun. And I think this is a movie about it. Like, it's so clearly a video game that they didn't kind of lean into that as much. Like, especially with like, you have those fight scenes at the end of Bowser. It would have been awesome to them to shift to those 2D things and get some like slow-mo or some interesting like integration of that. Because there was little like seeps of that where at the beginning they did it a lot. They did it like where you have Mario and Luigi running through Brooklyn and they have that kind of video game kind of where he's jumping up and down. I think that's fun. And they kind of go away from that. It's just like, it's very much, again, it feels like they know their audience is children, and it's like there's not so much to talk about because it's like at the end of the day, it's a kids movie. I think the kids will love it. I think if kids like Mario, they should go see it. So like it's funny with like the whole like Rotten Tomatoes score and stuff. It's like this is for kids, so like kids aren't look like 10-year-olds or whatever are looking at Rotten Tomatoes scores and being like, oh, I'm not gonna watch it now. It's not good. So it's like at that point, like it's like, who cares? I mean,
and I think it is like kind of one of those annoying like internet arguments where people on the internet just like don't have any. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, not to sound pretentious, but it's like, if you don't know anything about this, then like, why are you? You know what I mean? It's like people, if people don't know anything about film criticism and they don't know that like. I mean, like, what are the film critics supposed to do? Not watch the movie that they're paid to watch? And it's like, like film critics have to review this movie. It's. I mean, that's literally what they get paid to do. Like, do you want them to like not review it?
Well, they need that kid.
They review all the other
on
kids'
TikTok.
movies.
I think the movie G on TikTok, that kid, he is who they should be going to because he's the he's the spokesperson for the kids' movies. I think like it's like, if you want to know what the kids are thinking, then you got to hear from the kids. I think for critics, it's like, oh, these are what the critics are thinking. Like, obviously the critics aren't children, so they're not the audience, so it's kind of weird to look at them for the recommendation on the Mario movie. Look at what the kids are talking about. I think they're loving it. That's why the audience score is so high. But overall, it's like, this is a specific movie, but it's interesting because I know it'd be great to have Doug here again. But Doug is a really big Mario fan, and Doug really wanted to like the movie, and he gave it 2 stars. So it is like this thing of like, some people are liking it because they love Mario. Some people are still not liking it because it's so kid. I think Doug said he didn't expect it to be so baby, because it's this very like Coco Melon kind of movie, which it sucks for like older Mario fans who wanted kind of more, but it is very much like, again, kind of for that younger audience, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's just kind of what it is. But it's like, it's not going to be one of my favorite movies of the year because of that.
I still have a lot of hope for the rest of the franchise because obviously this will become a franchise.
I saw your review like listed what you want for the next.
Exactly. Like, I want all these spin-offs, but like the thing is, like, I feel like since the Super Mario Bros. Of the 90s failed so miserably with John Leguizamo, I feel like Nintendo is telling the movie maker side, because this is Nintendo's first movie, right? Like, as a studio, I think this is the first one that they've,
I'm assuming so,
put out. Right? So I think all the big wigs were like, okay, we're finally taking this leap. If you have one chance, like if this flops, never again. If this works, we'll keep going. So that's why I feel like the title is Super Mario Bros. But then they threw in Mario Kart stuff. I feel like they threw in so much IP to this one movie because I felt like they were like, we have one chance. And now hopefully they make so much money and know that they have unlimited runway going forward. They'll give us, maybe some more nods to adults, maybe just a more grounded, smaller scale story. Like, they still have big bad villains like Wario, Waluigi. Like, they have people they can have in like sequels. But I just hope just make a Mario Kart movie. Just make a Super Mario.
I think a Mario Kart movie would be really fun, like a speed racer kind of.
Rocks.
I think the racing stuff is sick. I think that's like the coolest part that they could have done. My biggest issue is I think that it's just going to continue to be Illumination, and that's really where like it's kind of a thing where I keep seeing these like new Disney movies. It's like it's a fundamental studio thing where I just don't trust that
like
studio.
Stop making live
yeah,
action
it's like
versions
when Disney
of their
keeps making
movies.
live action movies, their own movies. Like, okay, I know what I'm getting here. It's like this is going to be bad. It will make a lot of money, but it's going to be bad. So that's kind of where it's like I'm not like over the moon or excited even a little bit at the sequel idea. Just because of that, it's going to be Illumination. It could blow me out of the water. There could be a random like Illumination, like Spider-Verse, like animation groundbreaking thing. Who knows? But at this point, it's like Illumination's track record is kind of rough.
Yeah. Did you guys stay for the credits?
No, I did not see for the
Was there end credits?
There is a post-credit scene that I think confirms a sequel.
It's like a Yoshi egg, right?
Yeah. There's two post-credit scenes. There's one mid-credit scene where Jack Black is singing again, and then there's an actual like post-credit scene with like a Yoshi egg. So I think that pretty much all but confirmed. And I mean, now that they've made already so much money, there's just
it's the highest grossing anime. It's gonna be the highest grossing animated movie of all time. It's going to get sequel after sequel after sequel. Chris Pratt will be booked and busy. This and Garfield will take him.
Which is the worst thing to come out of this is that Chris Pratt's gonna have more jobs.
What do you think of Charlie Day as Luigi? Better or worse than Chris Pratt?
I love Charlie Day, but I don't like care for that performance very much. I like Charlie Day.
I would say forgettable, but it's like he's not really in the movie that much.
I was gonna say I think the only reason he was forgettable performance is because I think Luigi was forgettable in this movie. Like he was like out of it for most of it.
He really cast him to the side, kind of, where like he just gets lost in the beginning and then they just reconnect at the end.
It's the whole thing is Luigi is kind of taking the Peach role that you would see 20 years ago. It is the helpless kind of Luigi here. You have Peach kind of being more badass, and Luigi,
which is cool.
I think that's great. I think Peach. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is weird, like voice acting, but I think the actual character of Peach is probably the best, like written character in the movie. I think that's the like
which
most
is not saying a whole lot.
It's not.
Really did not like these characters at all.
It's not, but it is the most fleshed out character. I think Mario is kind of weird because they try to have like these like emotional kind of arcs to Mario. Like at the end, it's like this random like. His dad's like, I love you, or what he says this remark. Like they try to build this like dad like thing that's really raw. Like there's it's the most bare bones, like my dad doesn't love me thing. Like it's so silly. Which is like I don't know, it's weird because it's like the pacing is fast, but it's like, oh, nothing happened. So it's like it's like what for the sake of pacing. But I doubt there was a lot that they cut that like really would have helped.
I think they were banking off of, and this is obviously like a pretty big negative, but it's like most of the thing was like people know who Mario is, and we're banking on them having an emotional connection to these characters because they already know these characters. So we don't have to create like these. We don't have to build up these characters ourselves. People are just going to see them and be like, "Yeah, I like these guys because I know these guys," which is not the best way to go about.
People know who Mario is. I was confused on the whole like he's like in his 20s living with his like big family in Brooklyn. Like I was like, oh, what is happening here? He's like playing video games on his like childhood bed. Like it's like
it's an attempt to make him more than just a character with no backstory at all.
It is an attempt.
Sure.
I like the commercial they made. It was very Scranton City from The Office, Michael Scott-esque, but I like it.
I thought I was thinking like immediately when that happened, I think I would have liked it to open like that. I kind of like it's just kind of a personal thing where like it's like I kind of would have moved around some stuff. I think I like the idea. I always like a TV opening, or you have in just recently in Megan where you have that kind of commercial. Which is, I think it's a really fun, like the trailers end and then you get this commercial or you get this like little like intro. I think that would have been a lot of fun to start with that and then go to the Bowser stuff. Because I just think it's a more interesting and original way to open it. But I do think that it's like that's a little silly, like kind of way to. It is definitely a way to kind of be like why they don't have like accents like that. I know Doug was not a fan of that, but sadly he cannot talk more on that.
Yeah, no, you know what character I did like? I thought what was it? The Lumily character or whatever. I thought that was silly.
Was that
And
the
like
star?
the little,
Or...
yeah, like in the little prison that they're in, like the thing that's just
Yeah.
talking is like, yeah, we're all gonna die. I was like, that's pretty funny. I wish there was, I don't know. I wish
there
because
was
that's
people
like
in
the
my
most
theater
adult
that like
humor.
did not like that star.
Really?
They were like probably like 20-year-old men that were like yelling at that star.
Oh, I mean,
I don't
that's a
know.
little strange.
Yeah, it was. It was very odd. It was like they were anti that star. I thought the star was pretty funny. I thought the star
Yeah.
was dropping some little one-liners that maybe could be in a
Yeah.
letterbox review down the line. But
I just think
like,
I just think that character is the closest that the movie ever gets to appealing to adults. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like
I
that
do
kind of
think.
humor. It's like if the movie had a little bit more of that, I think
Yeah.
people who are, you know, above the age of 10 would probably vibe with it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because that was like funny to me. I was like, this is fucking silly. But I also just, yeah, I don't know. I bought into the movie because like you mentioned, like I actually like I like Mario in general. Like I like playing all the games, and I was like, this is a cool nostalgia trip for me. I don't know. It's like it works for me. I could see why people who like Mario a lot wouldn't connect with it at all, but I was like, this is fine. It works. I mean, I just said I like Ready Player One, so it's not hard to impress me.
So
like with that kind of stuff. If you take me on the nostalgia trip, it's gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Air. This is a harmless movie. Like, it's nothing really you can really get 100% mad at unless you're I don't know, maybe a diehard Mario fan would have a big issue with it, but we can't hear from him today. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like it's a kids movie. It's not very harmless. It's just whatever.
Yeah. Anything else we wanna add about Mario before we wrap up?
Are there any big other animated movies coming out this year? Is that Fire and Ice movie coming out this year? I'm assuming.
Elemental.
Yeah,
Elementals. Yeah.
That movie
There's
looks
not any
bad,
animated kids movies coming to theaters for a while though, like Mario. Because I was wondering, because like in a month it's going to streaming, but I wonder if it'll be like other movies that like. So there's movies that you could stream right now that are still in theaters for showing. So I wonder if they're going to keep Mario in theaters after a month, but also have it available on digital.
Gotcha.
Because I think it would have legs that way, but I don't think.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird.
As well.
It's so weird that they're taking it to digital right away, because I think this movie could be in theaters for the whole year and do very well. Like I think it just could be, because you got all these Twitter arguments all the time. Like there's no movie for kids anymore or whatever. This movie could just be in the theaters for a long time just as an option, because kids are gonna, like, if it's a rainy day or something, they're gonna take their kids to see Mario. Like it's just like it's gonna be the point where every like kid under 10 has seen this movie in theaters if they have like legs like that, which is like again an odd thing. Maybe like they didn't expect it to do this well, because obviously like you have to set the amount of days you're in the theater for before like you're in the theater.
I find that hard to believe.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
you know what I mean?
It's like
I find it
Mario
hard to believe
is
that
such a big
this was gonna be
property.
a success. Like they had to have known that this movie was gonna make money.
It's tough to be like, oh, this is going to be the highest grossing animated movie of all time, but there's no way they didn't think this was going to make money.
I think they knew it was going to make money, but they're pulling it, or not. We don't know if they're pulling it from theaters, but we know it's going to be available on streaming like 2 days before Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out. So maybe they're like, we know this will make money, but we don't know if it'll make Marvel money. So let's just have it in for 30 days and pull it once Marvel's going to hypothetically probably take over the theater for kids and adults alike.
Yeah. No, I actually didn't even consider that. That's a good point. Is Elementals a Pixar movie? I believe it is, right?
I do think
it's a Pixar movie.
No, it is.
Yeah, because that's my, which is annoying, but whatever. Like Pixar movies always work on me. I really don't know that there's a Pixar movie I've seen that I dislike.
Incoming Kevin 4-star.
Yeah, maybe higher. Who knows? I don't know. What's the last Pixar movie that was like a thing? Like Soul, maybe. I loved Soul. I don't know.
Lightyear.
I forgot. Okay, maybe there are Pixar movies I don't like. I completely forgot.
I never saw Lightyear.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because it's like, they're taking.
I think Lightyear's an example of where you should have a big name actor voice acting, simply because Tim Allen was the original Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah.
So it's like going from Tim Allen to no name. Like it's either get Tim Allen if you can, but if you can't get him, going from him to no name, I feel like some people might be like, because a lot of people at this point who are Toy Story fans are older. Like they're gonna go see Lightyear because like, oh, I love Toy Story growing up. So going from Tim Allen to no name might be a little weird. I didn't love Chris Evans in the role, but I at least can understand there where they're like, okay,
Yeah.
we have to go from a known guy to a known guy, otherwise people will really not want to see this.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It is weird. I think Chris Evans, despite if he's good or not in the role, I think makes sense casting wise. Especially it's like this big Disney product. Chris Evans is a Disney guy. He kind of looks the part, even if it's just an animated movie. I think within the Mario situation, it's weird.
I think it's, but like I think the thing that you mentioned about how Lightyear's this kind of thing where it's like people who grew up with Toy Story are going to want to go see it because they grew up with Toy Story. I'm surprised that they didn't take that more into account with the Mario movie, because it's like, you would think like most people who grew up playing all these Mario games are going to want to go see the Mario movie, and it seems like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like
it seems like
it's like
didn't consider that not at all.
I've seen like Mario fans that are older like this movie, but it does feel like the Mario movie kind of forgot about the older fans in a way. It's like, we're really gonna really harness on targeting this to kids, which isn't a hard thing to do. I don't think targeting a movie to kids necessarily is a hard thing to do. So it just kind of comes off as lazy in that point, because like you're targeting to an older audience is going to be difficult, or more difficult than targeting to children. So it almost felt like we only have to target to children. We're gonna make money. We'll be all right. Which is, I mean, it's fine. It just again, it's lazy, and it's gonna make a lot of money. That's really what.
That's the big takeaway, is that everything we say today doesn't matter because this movie is gonna make $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And it doesn't matter because the kids are gonna love it. That's all that matters. At the end of the day, it's for the kids. The kids are gonna love it. It is just annoying. Or not annoying. It's just kind of. You'd want more from it. You want more from everything. You'd love to see. You'd love to have fun at the movies. You know, you'd love to go to the movie and love it. And it sucks when you don't. But it's definitely just there's a specific audience for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we can wrap up there. You can let us know what you thought about Air and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Be sure once again to follow us on Twitter. You could follow Tyler as well. Thanks for being on, by the way.
Nice having you.
Filling in for Doug.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see everybody next week for episode 16.